Hey everybody, welcome to the Shrimp City Report. My name's Devin. I'm joined with our weekly co-hosts. With me is
Mr. Jonathan.
Who else do we have?
DJ.
Nice to see you. And our guest today is Kyle Varner Lahm of the North Charleston City. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I am great. It is great to be here and have you in this lovely facility called the Park Circle Community Building.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is an amazing facility. It's number one, it looks enormous now. It seems like a lot of space. When was it built, and how did it come about, y'all building this?
So obviously a lot of people know that North Charleston has a brand new mayor, Mayor Reggie Burgess, and before that we had a mayor for a very long time, Mayor Keith Summey, who instituted what's called a tax increment financing program that helped raise some money for infrastructure projects in Park Circle. So TIF financing means that if a tax is generated in a certain area, that money has to be spent in that area on beautification, infrastructure. So we had two aging facilities that are very close by. The one we are sitting in, the Park Circle building, and it was a very teeny tiny playground that existed here before, and also down the street is the pool and gym complex. So $45 million was raised, and that is basically what was spent on the two facilities. Where we are now, the Park Circle Community Building, obviously is next to the largest inclusive playground in the world, located next to us.
I was actually telling Devin, how mad are you that this got built in our late 20s, early 30s, and we missed out on how awesome that playground looks, you know?
Imagine being me and growing up here for 52 years.
It really is. It really is incredible. I like that y'all were we've had this small thing for so long, this small little playground. Let's just crank it up to 11 and go all out.
Yes, so
that's amazing.
It is something, and we mentioned before we got on air, it's sort of some growing pains that we're experiencing here is how do we coexist with the largest playground in the world that of this nature, and it certainly has a special place in the community and the people that it serves. But we, as the Cultural Arts Department for the city, are very excited to be in this space and really have a space to display the artwork that you guys saw on the walls when you came in, to have performances, and to host a big chunk of our North Charleston Arts Festival that's coming up next week, May 1 through 5.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. So you said you're from North Charleston.
I'm from Park Circle,
From
actually.
From Park Circle,
Yep.
So you have some tenure around here.
Yeah, there's not a lot of us, but yes, I was born and raised here. My parents both went to North Charleston High.
Okay.
My brother went to North Charleston High. Most of my family went there. I actually went to Stall High.
Okay.
But yeah, and I've never left. Went to College of Charleston, and I've lived here my whole life.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So College of Charleston, what'd you study in College of Charleston? How did you get to this position? Are you using your degree?
Some would say yes.
Uh-huh.
I majored in political science.
Oh, that's so did my wife, and she's an artist.
Well, I was a musician. I played the violin up through college, pretty
Oh, wow,
much.
cool.
And they didn't have an arts management degree there when I graduated in
yeah.
1995. But half of my staff all got arts management degrees from College of Charleston. So, yes. So I originally, when I started working, backtrack. In the 90s, I worked at the Coliseum for a little while, and then I managed the Ronald McDonald House downtown as the house manager, doing events and helping families and all the good stuff that they do. And then when I left there, I started working in the mayor's office for City of North Charleston in 2007. So worked there doing some outreach with schools and nonprofits, and then the directorship for this department, the Cultural Arts Department, came open in 2015. The previous director had been here for 30-odd years, and I applied and was awarded the position. So I was already working on some events in the mayor's office that sort of moved over to Cultural Arts with me. The St. Patrick's Day block party, the Christmas parade, those events sort of left the mayor's office and became part of Cultural Arts, along with the other great things that this department was already doing when I came. So I've been here about 9 years as the director.
Do you think that's a sensible fit for cultural arts to blend and to do events like that?
Yeah, I mean, it works for us, especially now when you think about where our headquarters is, right? In the middle of Park Circle. A lot of the events I mentioned take place in Park Circle. The parade goes right around for Christmas every year. The St. Patrick's Day event, as many people know, is just down the road. So we've been invited, a lot of the business owners down there, to come have their meetings here and see the building, and a couple of them have used this room that we are in now for sort of like corporate retreat type stuff. And so we like to keep up a good relationship with all the business owners that are nearby, not just in Park Circle, but all over the city as much as we can. So yeah, bringing those events over certainly made sense at the time, and we are happy to still produce those along with everything else we do. So,
but yeah, what was the transition to? Could be already have, of course, great event planning experience and stuff like that. What made you transfer to be like, no, I want to do the arts now?
Well, interestingly, the leader of this department doesn't necessarily need to be an artist.
Well, then, but when did that interest? What made you want to?
I have a lot of great people that work for me that do lots of different programs on behalf of the department. So as the director, it's a little more up to me to keep everything kind of running and happening, the logistics side of a lot of the things that maybe artists aren't as interested in doing.
Yes.
Ordering portalettes, cleaning services and supplies. Those things aren't exactly what we call art, right?
Logistics, yes. Of course.
So I certainly have that forte in my background of those logistics and planning these things. And so with, again, the great folks that I've mentioned that have that background, we've got a visual art coordinator who is an artist and is a part of the art community, organizes our gallery, organizes all of our visual events and exhibitions. We've got an outreach coordinator who is well-versed in teaching art classes and working with our teaching artists who go out into our schools. I think the newest part of our department, obviously, is running this building. And now having these spaces like our art studio across the hall where we can have classes whenever we want now, not just on the fourth Saturday when we move stuff out of our gallery and make room to sort of have a workshop. So obviously, this is my home. I love being here. I love working in my community. My dad's been gone, 17 years now. He was a huge part of North Charleston, and my mom and I joke all the time what he would have to say of what all has happened in the last 10 years. And with me working here, he would be talking mad. You know what? He was very into politics and local politics especially, he would love all of it, all of it. So it means a lot to me to continue that I can walk to work now, and figure out how we can sort of keep growing this department outside of just this facility. As you all know, North Charleston's a big place and much more than Park Circle. The northern end of the city is a place that we don't really get to do a lot of things. We don't have venues up there. We have lots of chain restaurants and, big box stores and not a lot of venues. So, the next stage would be, what's next down the road, the next 10, 20 years of how we can continue to grow. So
are you already planning for the next 10, 20 years? That's
how
humbling,
cities. That's how cities do it, man. Comprehensive plan. Right?
Is it easy or is it hard to wrangle a bunch of artists and do all that sort of Because like you said, you kind of thrive in the logistics and the management part. Is it hard to wrangle a bunch of artists?
Lots of personalities that we deal with. The artist part we're used to now that we are in a very public-facing facility that thousands of children visit every day. We are now also getting to deal with the public at large that want to know what happens in this building and where can I work out or where's the pool or what's upstairs or all the questions we're getting. Those are kind of the newer things we're dealing with. I think this department has been successful for many years, and I certainly get the feeling in the 9 years I've been doing this is that we are well respected amongst artists and that we feel like we're pretty easy to work with. And I think a lot of people would say that about the city in general. It might be a little easier to get a permit for things or you open your business and do the things that you have to do in North Charleston because, we're kind of a young city and we want businesses to thrive and we want our artists to thrive. So, we work pretty hard to try and be as easy as we can and offer as many opportunities to artists, whether it's exhibiting their work, performing with us at our festival to get paid. We work real hard at that. So.
Excellent.
So you mentioned your job deals with a lot of planning. Like stuff change, like weather changes on a dime. So I was wondering how you tackle that. Do you have a process?
Track the weather,
We had, obviously this year for our St. Patrick's Day Black Party and Parade, we curtailed about half of it due to weather. Luckily, we were still able to sort of pull off a party because it cleared up at 12:30 and it was pretty nice for the rest of the day. Unlike our friends at Charleston Wine and Food who had to deal with a bunch of flooding and catastrophic.
That's right.
I feel very blessed that we didn't have to deal with that. However, we produce a farmer's market every week. So we have an outdoor event every Thursday for 6 months out of the year. So we pay for weather apps. We don't do the free commercial version. We actually pay for them. And we work really closely. We're blessed to have an emergency preparedness department in the city, and they do calls with the National Weather Service every week and stay up on top of things. As we get close to these big outdoor events, we're meeting with them twice a day to figure out what the heck are we going to do. And they help us out quite a bit to make sure we, number one, keep everybody safe. The St. Patrick's Day forecast was looking a lot worse initially, and it sort of shifted on that Friday before. We probably could have pulled off the parade, but when you're talking about kids in dance shoes and people in costumes and all that stuff, you can't really risk those folks walking down the street in a wind gust. Causes a big problem.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that does go back to the logistical and the actual wrench turning that you guys do for these festivals. Because say it's going to rain for whatever, Christmas parade, St. Patrick's Day. Folks are on Facebook going, "Are you rescheduling for next week?" It's such a heavy lift to possibly do that. I mean, I think the rank and file consumer or folks may not know what actually goes into this.
Yeah, the rescheduling thing is always a question. You can't really reschedule a parade.
Right.
A parade involves 50 to 100 community groups showing up to show off, right? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of hard to say, let's do it next Saturday.
Right.
And also, especially like with Christmas, there are 5 other local parades happening at various times, and a lot of these groups are doing all of them. So we can't do ours at the same time as the city of Charleston. We can't do ours at the same time in Mount Pleasant or Somerville or any of these other municipalities, because obviously then you're losing half your folks.
Yeah.
So, and St. Patrick's Day is a very similar thing. Vendors, all the stuff you're lining up, the portalets, you're still paying for them, even if you do a rain date. So.
So how do you plan out, I guess, the mapping of these events? I know for St. Patrick's Day, it goes around the circle, then it goes to the downtown area. But for an art event, how do you end up mapping that out?
We use sometimes it's as simple as just Microsoft products to kind of map out the 3-block area that we're using, and then we use Google Maps to count how many parking spaces are in that block and figure out how many tents we can fit. Or for me, a lot of it is right down here. We sometimes go put our eyes on it. We've gotten surprised by construction dumpsters before, we didn't know a place was flipping hands, and obviously, and you also have to account for people that don't move their cars, and we can't track them down or get a tow truck in quick enough to get them out the way. So you just work around that stuff. It's just a lot of, back and forth of, okay, here's our map from last year. What's changed? What business has opened? 'Cause
yeah.
you can't put portalets in front of somebody's storefront.
Right.
And so with that same patch, all of these block party events that had pointing, because it's right here.
Yeah.
I'm pointing at East Montague, which is right behind the building. With all of these sort of block party events, every year new businesses open and places to put things like trash cans and portalets shrink and shrink and shrink because nobody wants to look at that all day, right? Even if you're not a bar, if you're selling mattresses,
Right.
you don't want to see
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff in front of your
Building,
doors. So
yeah.
we have to get real creative about where to hide the things that nobody wants to look at, but that have to be there. So.
And are businesses, I guess, willing to play ball or like willing to engage in these events, or do they take ever enticing or anything like that?
Oh, I mean, there's certainly been times over the years where we've had some growing pains. There was a time when maybe some of these types of events meant more to bars and restaurants than, say, an office space or a hair salon where I can't get to my appointment because the street's closed. But I think over the years that this area has just sort of become so special that even folks that say don't necessarily benefit from a block party get that, as a whole, you're bringing folks to the area. And I mean, honestly, when you think about this business district and how this neighborhood has changed over the last 20 years, when Majarua opened and it was the only bar over there, right?
Right, yeah.
There's certainly a lot to be said for why all these folks want to live here.
Yeah.
And it's not just because, of this playground that just opened last year, right? It's not just because of this building or the great pool down the street. There's a lot more to it. So
When did you start the art? How long has this been? 10 years?
for the North Charleston Arts Festival has been around for 41 years.
Holy
This is
smokes.
the
Oh my
41st
gosh, wow.
annual. It used to take place at Charlestown Square Mall. Do you remember where?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Where
Yes,
the new
I grew
city
up
hall
here.
is. It started in the mall.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's good enough.
Start somewhere, yeah.
It started in the mall little courtyard area that used to be there. When I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, and has certainly ebbed and flowed and grown and changed over those 40 years. But I made some changes when I came to the department. It used to be a 9-day festival,
Right.
which is real hard for a staff of 8.
Mm-hmm.
So we shrunk it to the 5 days.
Yeah.
So what we used to do is encompass 2 weekends, and it was just a little too much. So we kind of compressed and changed some things and made it a Wednesday through Sunday festival. And it's the planning for this is an all-year thing. This is our biggest event. It's our crunch time right now. We open applications for folks to perform and present in the fall. So last fall, October, applications open online, and we close those in December. We started making decisions in January, offering contracts to everybody that we're hiring or booking or presenting with or partnering with, and then starting on writing this document and putting it all together, doing the contracts, figuring out where we're doing stuff. And then the week before the festival, it's, okay, we got to get all the stuff together and start moving it all around. Yeah.
So that takes a humongous effort for person power. I mean, how many volunteers off the?
So we used volunteers in kind of a different way. So one of the biggest pieces of the festival is all of the art exhibitions we produce at the convention center. So those, any artist can enter a piece in our photography or judged fine art competition and exhibition. It's real simple to do. So we entice a lot of volunteers that are involved. A lot of artists help us do this.
Okay.
And check in all that artwork. It's over 1,000 pieces of work. And get it staged and get it hung.
Right.
Working with stagehands to help us set all the equipment up. And then another 1,000 pieces of youth artwork comes from our Tri-County schools. So about 40 or
cool.
50 schools are a part of the youth exhibit. And again, volunteers are helping us hang all that work up and get it ready for show. Starting on May 1st, where we have a big reception to open all that up. So, and then of course all the events that you're kind of maybe more familiar with, like the Artie Block Party or these events that involve other city departments. So
Yeah.
our police department and sanitation, they're all a part of it as well. So when I say 8 people, that's just us, our little department. But we certainly have to lean on the rest of Team North Charleston to make this whole thing happen.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask like how so people send in their submissions by December 15th or whatever it is, and then how do you decide what gets put out front and what doesn't make it and that sort of thing?
It's pretty simple, really. We make an effort to not rebook the same things year after year.
Mm-hmm.
So, you
Smart.
know, when you start to look at this schedule of who's
Is
playing
out of
music.
state able to submit stuff as
Yes,
well? Or?
but we don't really have the budget to fund performers requiring
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
hotel and travel.
Right,
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha.
That's not, we are a little more focused on this region. We do have a band coming from Georgia doing a bluegrass show with us this year that we're real excited
cool.
about. But mainly, so that band, they're great. Heading Home
Okay.
is the name of that band. They probably won't be on the schedule next year. Love you, Heading Home.
Yeah,
but we're
but-
not,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
trying not to repeat
Yeah.
stuff over and over.
Smart.
And that they do apply over and over, but we do our best to try. Just like folks exhibiting in our gallery each month. We're not going to book the same artists year after year.
That's good, because, I mean, I know that in some metropolitan areas that have arts events or festivals or whatnot, there is a tendency sometimes to book the same people annually, and it keeps out some folks.
Yeah.
And this,
Yeah.
so I've heard.
I mean, it is the cultural art fest, not culture art fest. So you want to get every perspective.
We want to spread it around, and I think what's great this year is we never really get a chance to do much theater for this festival. We don't have any theaters in North Charleston other than the Performing Arts Center, and
Yeah.
I'm not doing
thought
a
about
Broadway
that.
show at the Performing Arts Center for 2,500 people. But now that we have this community building, we have a nice little performance space where we can do a show with Shortwave Kish for a couple hundred people, and we've just not had the chance to do that before. Very exciting to be able to have the theater icon on our
Yeah.
schedule this year. Sometimes we're not always able to put the two masks, right? But having this space to do even more stuff is super cool.
Oh yeah, so I actually like I recommend anybody who's at all interested about like festivals and how things are booked to go back like on the North Charleston like website you can go through all the past years and go to 2019, 2006, whatever. It's fascinating to see just the wide variety, going back to what you said, of all these crazy different like arts, because you'll see like a photography competition makes sense, you'll see sculpture competition makes sense, fine art, but then like this year it's African American fiber art, and that's something that's like I've lived in this my whole life. I didn't realize that was a like a thing like that, and that's something like I'm curious about, like I'm definitely going to check out.
And that exhibit will stay up past the festival. Interestingly, those artists are actually from all over the country. They submit, and I say ladies because it is a lot of ladies. We do get a few fellas that are a part of that exhibit, but it's quilting, and it is a largely female-driven art form. However, there will be a few guys in it this year.
Nice.
That exhibit we stage at City Hall, and because they are from all over, we keep that up for 6 weeks. So that'll be up through towards the end of June. So even if you don't catch it during the festival or during the reception that opens it, we do keep that one up longer, and it is curated by a local artist named Cookie Washington, who has got work in the Smithsonian. She's a big deal, and we've been working with her a long time on this exhibit, and it's a lot of fun, and those gals are a lot of fun.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, is like, how do you curate these people? Does like just everybody just send stuff in, and there's a committee, or like how does that work?
For that particular exhibit, it's similar to how performers and presenters apply. We have a software that we use. They submit pictures of what they're working on. There's a theme for that exhibit every year, and then the curator helps us pick. She is a curator, so she picks the pieces that will be in the exhibit each year.
So you have like an expert in the field kind of help guide you. That's
And then she also, even on top of that, will pick about 20 pieces from the show that will be a part of a traveling exhibit through the South Carolina State Museum. So those 20 pieces will travel to other museums for the year and then come back right before the next festival.
awesome.
That's cool. I didn't know there was that kind of reach.
The State Museum has a pretty cool traveling exhibit program where, so like places like this building, say
Right.
in Cheraw or Greenville, can say, oh, I want to rent the traveling African American fiber art exhibit to come to Greenville for 6 weeks. They reserve it, they pick it up and show it, and then bring it back.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you're out kicking your coverage? Maybe you've bitten off more than you can chew with this, or is it a managed growth with all of the artists? You have hundreds of submissions. Surely you have hundreds that you turned down.
Well, this year was a little different. Yes, it's certainly nobody wants to say no.
Right.
But this year we were able to think about things a little differently because now we have this building to program more than 5 days a year.
Right.
So some folks were told no and said, hey, we'd love to do this. We just don't have time May 1 through 5 and maybe don't have the space. But we'd love to do this here, maybe in another time, maybe in August or September, when people maybe don't want to be outside, but we have this great performance space. So we are able to say, especially some of these local groups that maybe they've done a few shows with us over the past years and we're like, let's take a break. Can we get y'all in here in the fall and partner on something free for the community? Because that's really this entire festival is free. Every event is free, and that's the biggest change that I made when I took over as director. I stopped doing ticketed events. You don't get to apply to be in the festival if you're trying to sell tickets. This is a free event, the end.
Well, that makes it more accessible.
Yeah.
I mean, that in cultural arts, period, it is something that folks don't have, besides their television, film, popular music, visual arts, dance, things like that. They're not going to see as often. So, I mean, I believe it's a great thing not to put a paywall in front of somebody having access to the arts.
There's plenty of tickets to be bought in this town. We all know that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Plenty of tickets to buy if you've got that budget to do it. But there are plenty of folks who don't have an entertainment budget.
Exactly.
And we in North Charleston recognize that more than anybody else. There's kids that have never set foot in a theater in this town. They haven't been to the beach. They haven't, we really want to work to bring this together to be free, and that's why we kind of shifted away. We used to do a dinner theater event for this. We used to do some other ticketed things, and it's just not our thing for this. And ideally, some of the folks that you mentioned, that we may have said no to, we're trying to partner with them to do more free things in this building. And, if we can partner with other art groups to come in and offer, performances that are free. The only things we really do tickets for these days are kind of our workshops and classes that obviously we're having to buy supplies and pay teachers. But stay tuned. There's more to come for this building as we try to work out all the kinks of coexisting with this playground and baseball practice and all the things that are happening on the
I
campus.
was going to ask, how many broken windows so far?
No broken windows. But we do have some issues with sunlight that we're working on. So we've got some glare coming in the hall, and we're going to meet with they're 19-foot high windows, so we got to figure out.
That's a fantastic space. We have been in there for a reception. And that's multi-purpose, right?
It is. The stage is portable. It can be pulled out for mostly private events. They're not wanting, if they don't have a band, they don't need a stage. So we can roll it out pretty simply, and that makes room to have, a bigger birthday party or whatever that folks are renting the space for. And obviously, we've got, we can put 250 chairs in there very easily, whether that's for a performance during the festival or the fire department's graduation ceremony that we hosted a couple weeks ago. So it's also, this historically has been a space for city events, for retirement ceremonies, for police and graduation ceremonies and all those things. So those things will continue to happen here as we move forward. We've only been here since November. So
Where's the festival kickoff?
The festival kicks off May 1st. That's Wednesday
next week. Is it going to be here? Or?
The festival kicks off at the Charleston Area Convention Center.
Okay.
So we open all of our exhibitions with a big reception that's open to the public with free snacks and wine. And you get to see everything. All the artwork, all the photography, all the kids' work, all the fine craft from Pomona Hands. And we have a great band, Rod Brown Jazz group is performing, and it's just a big party. We used to do like a gala ticketed thing that we sort of shifted away from. we want people to see this artwork, and that's how we shifted our opening to be in that space with that artwork.
Are you going to be contributing to any of this?
As an artist, no.
Oh,
no.
okay. I was about to say, are you going to jam out on the spoken word? You're going to come out?
No.
Okay.
But I will be working the next 2 weeks straight, though, to
Okay.
support all those events. That's
I guess that's good too.
we move the stuff around, the
Right.
chairs and the art screens. That's the backstage work is more what we're doing.
You're doing the hero work while the
Yeah.
artists are out. Yeah.
But we'll make sure that you get some appreciation from
Yeah.
this podcast. Young Devin went to the School of the Arts.
Yeah.
And
We've got a show there.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
That's
wondering
great.
if y'all had anything going on with them.
We do. On Saturday night, the Charleston Concert Band is doing a performance
In
at
their theater
in the
area?
theater.
Yeah, that's a really nice theater too.
It's a beautiful theater,
Yeah.
and that one sort of landed in our lap. They were asking, they had already planned their concert and said, "Hey, we'd love to be included. What do we need to do?" And I said, "You need to make sure it's free," and they did. So
Yeah.
Timely.
we're very excited to have that. Basil, you probably know Basil, that
Yeah.
taught at SOA is a part of that, and we're doing a show with his Charleston Jazz Academy here in
That's
May
great.
also. So, in fact, in the old Park Circle, he used to bring the SOA orchestra to play at our Veterans Day event
Oh,
in the
cool. Yeah.
auditorium for years back in the day before he retired from teaching
Yeah.
at SOA. So,
Nice.
congratulations on your degree.
Thank you. I loved it there. Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the first classes in the new
Okay.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't have that back when I was a kid. My
Oh.
life might look a little different if they had a School of the Arts for high school.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I grew up in West Ashley.
Yeah.
If they would have had School of the Arts, that would have been so.
There was a couple years where the
Radical.
strings program didn't happen, but I continued.
This is getting totally off topic.
Sorry.
The circle, the Bonds Wilson used to be over where, next to
Where School of the
SOA
Arts is, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to put it together. I grew up across the river, but sometimes I get it confused where Bonds Wilson actually was, because I usually just came over there to play football or basketball.
Bonds
So-
Wilson was the campus of School of the Arts and Academic Magnet.
Yep.
And across the street was CREOC,
Okay.
that was the original career training center,
Okay.
where the current North Charleston Creative Arts Elementary is in the middle of Oak Terrace Preserve. So then in the 80s, about right when I was starting high school, is when Bonds Wilson and North Charleston merged into one school.
Yeah.
And then those campuses kind of sat dormant for a long time until they decided to build the Academic Magnet and School of the Arts there.
Yeah, I was in high school when Chicora and North Charleston
Yeah.
combined.
Yes, my mother-in-law went to Chicora High School.
Yep. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
we are memory laning
I
for
know.
for the tens of people that listen. So we have a couple. One thing I want to ask is, in your opinion, I know everything is just like everybody's kids are all equal, but what are some absolute can't miss things?
Some
during the
highlights.
fest?
Yeah.
Well, I can talk about sort of we send a list every year
Mm-hmm.
to our mayor and our council. These are what we would call the highlights.
Okay.
Sort of the larger events of the festival. Certainly, our opening reception on Wednesday night, May 1st,
Mm-hmm.
is a can't miss. And then on Thursday, and this is, I say we don't rebook things, but we certainly were real excited to rebook the Color of Music Orchestra to play with us again at the chapel on the Navy Yard. And it's a very small chapel, and we did have to do tickets for that.
Yeah,
They
I
are free
understand.
tickets, and it is sold out. But you
Wow.
can come and try, people may not show up. A few minutes after we start, they'll let a few more folks in, and it is
Yeah.
a beautiful setting
And you can hear it from the
for
straight
classical
outside.
music. It is
Oh, yeah.
gorgeous.
It's beautiful over there, too.
Super excited. And of course, that same night I mentioned Shortwave Kish is here at Park Circle Community Building doing
Yeah.
our very first theater performance here.
Oh,
Super
awesome. That's
exciting.
I can't wait
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
And they were just here today looking around at the stage. And then on Friday, we host our Children's Festival, which is sort of a partnership with our rec department. Huge event for the little ones over at the District 4 Athletic Stadium. and a huge day of fun. There's no place like North Charleston is the theme this year. So obviously Wizard of Oz themed and a ton of events for those kids. And then Friday night is is a soft launch for the Global Art Fair. And we're real excited to work with Okiba Jabalo, who's been doing some great art exhibits in town. We're doing a big event with him in the fall, and so Friday night of the festival is sort of a sneak peek of what this Global Art Fair is really going to be like. He's really aiming high and really wants to try to create an event that, could sort of eventually mirror Art Basel or some of these larger art fairs that you hear about in big cities. And then on Saturday, we host our big World Dance Showcase right here in this building at Park Circle Community Building. We have 8 different dance groups coming from all over. Well, they're local, but they are originally from all over the Philippines, India. So many great dancers, and it's a lot of fun, and everybody gets 30 minutes to really show off. And so lots of parents and folks that are involved will be here for that. And then Saturday night is the Artie Block Party. That's, an event that is so accessible to many right down here as I point again into East Montague's business district.
We'll put a map.
There will be a performance by Two Slices, which is, I think this might be only his second time performing.
Okay.
In North Charleston. We're super excited to have him and Raspi Reggae Infinity. So it's a street dance and an art market. Huge vendor market set up over there in East Montague. Folks will be able to partake in beverages and snacks from all the great businesses that are there. And that'll be from 5 to 8:30. Lots of fun. And, the street will be closed all afternoon as we set up for that. And also some fun stuff for the kids at that as well. So it's fun for the whole family. We usually get around sort of a more, an easier block party event. It's not a 10 or 15,000 like Rockabilly. It's not 20,000 like St. Patrick's Day. It's a lot simpler and maybe more like 3,000. A little easier to walk around and really sort of enjoy what is hopefully a beautiful weather day.
It's a good mix. Yeah. Not shoulder to shoulder, but it's also not a
exactly.
Yeah.
Not
Easier.
shoulder to shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Sunday's our last day. So Sunday, we've got, again, I mentioned that bluegrass band. They are playing at the chapel for us again over in the Navy Yard. So we love bluegrass in the chapel, especially on Sunday afternoon, right? Gospel and bluegrass is a lot of fun. And in several more performances here in the building. And that is the final day to view all of our art exhibits over at the Convention Center.
Okay.
So we have sort of a wrap-up reception with some snacks and bubbles. And SOA musicians are performing for that as well. So the sort of School of Rock version of the SOA musicians are coming
cool.
for that, and we're super excited to host them.
Excellent. We're looking forward to it. Thank you for having us as well. This is our first on-location recording. Usually we do it at my studio at the house.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
I probably
boys.
should have said the website, northcharlestonartfest.com.
Right.
That full schedule is there unless you were just feverishly taking notes of everything I just
It
said.
is so user friendly.
We're
Like
gonna-
honestly, that website. Like I was on my phone and it's like, oh, what are you interested in? What times are you interested in? What
Yeah, you
genre
can-
are you interested in? It
yep.
is.
Yeah, we're going to, we'll definitely put all of the social media, all the links. We'll put some pictures of the building as well on our website and the podcast site. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. Young Dev, if you want to ask the final question that we usually always ask, we'll do a little round table and get out of here.
Yeah, so we're at the Shrimp City Report. So we ask our guests a final question every time. What's your favorite way to eat a shrimp?
Not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I love a shrimp cocktail.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't-
We actually have not gotten that yet.
Yeah.
That's,
I love a shrimp cocktail. My favorite one right now is probably at Momo over at Riverfront Park.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
hitting
yeah.
it. I love that place.
We
were
love
there
them.
Saturday.
And but it's close. Second place would be fried shrimp over at Lola down the street.
Yeah.
Can't miss. And the shrimp cocktail, you don't hear about that often. And
When it's good,
Yeah.
it's good.
yeah, and so much
And,
is that's cocktail sauce and
Yeah, horseradish.
horseradish.
Lots of horseradish and that perfectly steamed cold shrimp.
Right.
Yeah.
Not rubbery.
And it can't
So
be too
often you get it,
cold.
and it's just like that out of the can cocktail. Yeah.
Right.
Or the ring of shrimp.
Oh,
It's called.
Yeah.
That's like That's such a convenient thing for folks who forgot that they have to bring something to the party.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
can drop into Food Lion and get
Blowing
a,
up my spot.
get a shrimp brain.
Still frozen.
Can. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you should, but you can do that.
Yeah.
Well, if it's frozen, you can throw it under the car hood on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
This smoked,
yeah.
That inspired me. I'll say a Bloody Mary with like a shrimp on a skewer, when you get at a fancy place. Again, I think Lola has that as well as some other
That's
places.
cheating. Anything with booze in it's going to be
I know.
+2.
Jonathan,
Over easy.
a shrimp over easy.
Yeah.
Okay, like a soft shell shrimp.
Yeah, sure. We've done this podcast 4 times. I've
Yeah.
already run out of ways to do shrimp.
All the time.
Watch Forrest Gump again.
Yeah, exactly.
What did, yeah. What did we do last night? I actually made shrimp scampi. So,
Can't go wrong with scampi.
yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Tons of garlic, way too much butter. Didn't have any white wine, so I used sherry. So it was a little she crab scampi, actually. So,
Very nice.
well, anyway, Kyle, it's been a pleasure.
Thank
We
y'all for
appreciate
coming
it.
to visit. We
Thanks for
appreciate it.
having us. And
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll have this out a couple of days, and we will definitely promote the show and can't wait to see all of it. I definitely want to see the dance and theater. Otherwise, everybody, y'all be good. Thanks for coming by and seeing the Shrimp City Report.